Did you know that not being aware of your emotions is making you sick? We like to think that everything bad that happens to us is out of our control. And the truth is, this whole entire experience is completely out of our control except how we feel about it. And when we learn how to access our feelings and how to let them be there so that they can metabolize and maybe even manipulate our feelings in order to create different outcomes, then we can find a different state of health and a different state of vitality that will allow us more presence in our lives and also more availability to be present in other people's lives to help them be vital and healthy too. In the old model of reductionist medicine, we look at sickness as something that shouldn't be there. In a more Taoist perspective of medicine, when we see sickness, we're looking at it as the body's way and attempt of trying to restore balance to something that's been out of balance. And in the illusion that we create of trying to have control over the world, when we're doing well, we're totally responsible for it. Our ego loves to be like, yep, we're doing great, it's me, I'm doing great. And when we're sick, it's really convenient for our egos, especially for our egos, to say, you know what? It was the flu. Someone coughed on me. I got something. It was that bad food somebody else cooked for me. It was because of this or it was because of that. And what we can do and what we need to realize is everything outside of us is also outside of our control. The only thing we have any sort of agency over is how we are experiencing ourselves. And so when we learn how to acknowledge what are we feeling, like what am I actually feeling inside, and what are the emotions driving those feelings, then I can actually have some agency over allowing those feelings to be there so that they can evolve and metabolize and become something more useful and coherent in my system. But I can also then maybe even learn how to generate different feelings and different emotions to create better outcomes, not just for myself, but when I'm more relaxed and I'm more empowered by understanding what I'm feeling and being able to adjust what I'm feeling, I'm also more available to hold space for other people's feelings and to potentially adjust how they're gonna feel and react because I'm not so tight and stuck in a specific energy flow in myself. Instead, I have more of a dynamic energy flow that can adjust to my environment as needed. As we learn how to feel ourselves better, we also start to connect what we're feeling in Taoist medicine with a specific organ or organic pattern that can then help us diagnose where a problem may be or where a blockage might be in the body. And ultimately, we're doing this so that we can track how you're feeling and where you're stuck feeling what you're feeling, and that we can start to use acupuncture or movement techniques or breathing techniques to adjust what you're feeling. And so we can make the connection between grief and sadness being a dysfunction of the lungs, and then fear and anxiety being a dysfunction of the kidneys, and rage and anger being a dysfunction of the liver, and hyperactivity and just like not being able to stop being a dysfunction of the heart. And then like stagnation and lethargy being a dysfunction of the spleen and stomach. All of these things are connected. And then none of this is to diagnose any sort of problem. They're all connected, but all of them, every bit of the elements and the organs associated with the elements contribute to any specific issue. So just because you're really angry all the time doesn't mean you have liver disease. It might mean that we're looking at a dysfunction in the liver that's overfunctioning and damaging other organs. And so how do we recreate balance through the system so that not one organ is working too hard and the other organs are deficient, but we're really creating a harmonious spectrum of what we can experience in the course of the day so that we can respond with anger when we need to have boundaries, but we can also let go of that anger and let it go when it's our kids or the people we love, and we're not just stuck in that mode of constantly being the boundaries guy. Or, when we are grieving, to really grieve what we need to grieve and grieve the past having passed and the next moment coming and what we lost, and also let that grieving happen and open up to what's coming towards us. And so when we are always stuck in grieving mode, it starts to become depressing, and we want to really learn how to go inside and adjust what we're feeling. How did we get into this place where our emotions can make us sick? You know, most animals in the wild don't get sick from their emotions. But in society, as kids, we were taught at a young age that in order to be functional members of society and sort of receive affection from those around us, we really had to over-control a lot of emotions. And some of us had better emotional modeling than others, but in general, we were all taught wasn't okay to be too sad, wasn't okay to be too angry. Those things both got met with punishment or placation. And rather, it's like generally better for us to always be a little bit happy and productive and just do our thing and be compliant most of all. Modern humans tend to be very deficient in their ability to connect deeper into their own emotions in order to process them and to allow those experiences of anger, of total fear and anxiety, and of sadness to really reach the depth of understanding that the experiences that lead to anger, to fear, and to sadness become part of the fabric of who we are. And when we can touch those experiences and allow them to become part of us, then they're integrated and we're okay. But when we hold those experiences away from us and we never acknowledge them, we didn't acknowledge when we got really angry, we didn't acknowledge when we were really sad, and we didn't really examine the sources and the forces that created deep levels of fear inside of us, so we're always avoiding them, then they start to become pathological inside of our systems. And not only do they become pathological inside of our systems, they prevent us from really being able to connect to each other on a level of deep human intimacy. What is this human experience we're having? It's based on loss. It's based on grieving. It's based on the fact that none of us is getting out of here alive, and there's some fear about that. It's based on the fact that we are small little humans in a giant vast universe where we can be obliterated all at once, and that we get angry about that. When our boundaries get crossed, we get angry because we feel powerless. The best way to come back home and to reclaim your power and your sovereignty over who you are is to claim your emotions. It is to learn how to feel what you're feeling and not try and push it away and not deny it. And I'm the poster child for feelings denial. It's like, oh, angry? I'm not angry. I just don't like it when you cross my boundaries that way. But when we really start to reclaim, yes, it made me angry when you didn't listen to me because I felt unacknowledged, and all of these petty things that, you know, we can do. And this is actually, I joke about it, but only to prove the point. It's this work, in my opinion, and there's a lot of different ways to do work like this. Some of it is more cumbersome than others. Some levels of our emotional disconnect require much deeper and more extensive work in order to unpack all of the folds that are in it. But in general, we need to claim our emotions in order to come back to self. And the way that we start to reclaim those emotions is first to learn how to actually feel them. Like when I'm angry, I get like tense in my back and I feel tight. When I'm scared, I go down. Like I just shrink into my body and try and stay away from it. And when I'm sad, I just don't feel like I have a structure to be in. I'm just like not here. When I'm like super productive and hyper, not that these ones get punished as much, but when I'm super productive and hyper, I just like, you know, don't feel my feet as much. And when I'm just sort of like stagnant at all, I feel like a puddle on the floor. How do we start to move through those things? First, we have to notice what we're feeling. And then, you know, I'm gonna focus on the big three: grief, fear, and anger today. You know, when we're feeling grief, and as a culture, we've been denied the experience of grief constantly. Like we, you know, sort of commemorate all of these terrible things, but actually to go into the sadness and the loss and the silence of really being able to reflect. Like, we have forgotten how to do that. How do we deal with grief? Is like, we let the wind come out of our sails. We let all the air come out. And then from there, we breathe in again. We fill ourselves back up. We will ourselves to fill ourselves back up. And then from there, we collect all of those parts of us that are still stagnant and have been stuck in grief. And then we exhale and we let those grief move out. And then we inhale and fill ourselves back up again. And as we inhale, we open our arms, we fill our posture up, we let all of the energy come in. And then we exhale. Let it come out. And so we're taking this space of grief where we're deflated, and we're learning how to, from that place of acknowledging our deflation, to re-inflate, to reinvigorate and fill ourselves up. What about fear? When we're fearful, we shrink into ourselves. We're trying to hide. And so part of the way to shrink into ourselves is we really got to find our ground. We got to know that we're not just adrift and at the whim of the universe, ready to smash us to bits. But really, in our fear, in our anxiety, we get to claim the center. We don't need to be big. We don't need to make ourselves into a big target, but what we really need to have is the ground beneath our feet, to be connected to our feet. The move for anxiety is to let go of that need to just like hide away the part that shows out in the world, but to really let ourselves land on this planet, to let all of the weight and all of our being just connect to our feet. To come out of our upper body, to let our upper body just be buoyant on top of our pelvis, and to let all of the energy come down towards our feet. And then really to start to soothe ourselves with our breath. So as we inhale, the weight comes forward, like the tide coming in. And as we exhale, the weight goes backwards like the tide going out. So we're using this oceanic sound of our breath to soothe our kidneys, to really become like water, to find the lowest level. Water is always safe because it's always finding the ground. And so to soothe ourselves out of anxiety is to learn how to just stand on our feet and to let everything flow down. And so I'll show it from the side just so you can see I'm rocking a little bit. As I breathe, I'm just inhaling, I'm rocking forward. Exhaling, keeping my weight pouring down, I exhale and let the weight go back towards my heels. And it's a really quiet rock. And then when I'm angry, I get real stuck, like through the midline. I'm just like really tense and like ready to just like punch out. And one of the things that happens when we get angry is we get locked in our sight. We only see straight through the path. So the way that we move through anger is by learning how to twist. We're not diminishing that energy. We're just learning how to twist. So you can gently swing your arms like an elephant trunk, side to side, and we can swing them over. And so I'm just using my spine. Jacket's going off for this. So I'm really gonna start to use my spine to mobilize this energy instead of being so linear and tight and like wanting to break through the thing that's blocking me. I'm just gonna learn how to twist. So I'm first just gonna twist and let my arms swing. You know, like the 7 dwarves walking to work a little bit. But then I'm gonna link this arm swing and have it happen in front of me a little bit. So I'm just swinging my arms, and then I'm using my spine to bring my arms around. So I can just swing in one direction or swing in the other direction. And from the side, it's just, my hands are staying in front of me the whole time. You know, one of the things about moving through aggression, it's like, if it's aggression and it's warranted, we want to keep our hands up in front of us. We don't want to move our hands behind us and make ourselves vulnerable that way. And then after I get this swing, I'm going to start to swing and just drop the energy. So I move it up and then drop it. And as I'm dropping the energy, I'm making my soft hands into fists to just get that energy out. And then I can go the other direction. So I can swing this way and so I just bring my arms around in this nice circle and throw it. And then as I catch it, what happens is I'm throwing the energy towards my hands, and there's a stopping motion that reverberates through my body and solidifies it. So that boundary that was held up here starts to be held lower down in my body. That frustration starts to connect into my lower body and starts to move through my system. So I'm just moving around and throwing it. Nice loose spine. And you can add a sound to it. Sometimes the best sound is the ha sound. So I'm just swinging around and I can say ha, ha, ha. And as I do that, after I do about 10, ha, 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 ha. After I've moved through about 10, my body's looser and I'm not so stuck up here. I can see that I can still have my boundary that maybe got violated and I can hold it, but I don't need to be so tense about it. I can be more relaxed and know that I'm holding that boundary. When I was a younger acupuncturist just starting out and I didn't really have the chops of being able to drop in with people and trust what I was seeing, and I was really trying to be right all the time, talking to people about their emotions was terrifying to me. It was this idea of like, I'm gonna talk to them about something I don't even understand that well in myself, and so I don't wanna really bring this up. So, you know, if you come to me with back pain and neck pain, I just wanna like put the needles in that are gonna relax your back and your neck and send you on your way. Anyway, 20 years into that practice, like now people come to me with back pain and I'm like, oh, what are you burnt out about right now? And people come to me with neck pain and I can see there's frustration here. I don't know, I might not know where it is. And this person, and this is one of the key takeaways, you might not know why your emotions are driving you the way you are. And maybe doing some journaling or doing some therapy and doing all those things, those can be helpful to start to uncover why. But more than uncovering the why something's happening is let's acknowledge that something's happening and change it. And this is really what we need to be able to do as empowered humans to gain sovereignty over our own experience of reality, one, but also our health. Keeping our emotions from getting us sick requires us to acknowledge what we're feeling and then to start to take control of that feeling. And this is the goal of this video and the information I'm trying to put out there is really how can you become more empowered to take your life and your well-being and your vitality into your own hands. So if you liked what you saw and you want to explore more, sign up, make some comments. We love your comments. It gives us ideas for what we want to share with you, and thank you for coming. Sign up for our email list. There's a link below, and click like and all those things that you need to do if you're if you're helping an influencer. No. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.